You need to create an IAM role. IAM role is all about establishing relationship between the regions. So you need to create a new role. That's fine. Just select IAM role. That's enough. That's it. So what you're doing clearly, you're clearly mentioning that the source bucket is Mumbai region. Okay. And then you're clearly mentioning that the destination region is Singapore. That's it. We have created a replication rule. Replication successfully configured. Now look at the replication configurations. It is obviously that the source bucket is Mumbai region and source destination bucket is in Singapore region. This is the destination bucket. Okay. Now what happens is now what should happen when you upload a object into the Mumbai bucket? That same object should be available in the Singapore bucket, isn't it? So let's go to Mumbai bucket now. Right now, there are no objects in Mumbai. And please have a look at it. Right now, there are no objects in Mumbai. There are no objects in Singapore region. Now, what I'm doing, I'm selecting Mumbai region and uploading an object. Any object I'm uploading, let's say I'm uploading this particular image, AWS image.jpg. I am uploading image in which bucket? Mumbai bucket. It's not mandatory that you need to provide a read access, but still I'm providing it. Close. I have uploaded an object in the Mumbai region. So what should happen? The same object should be available in the Singapore region also. Go back to S3, select the destination region, Singapore bucket. Right now, Singapore bucket, the object should also be uploaded in the Singapore bucket, but that's not uploaded. It will take some time for the replication to happen. Let's click on refresh. Friends, have you observed that the AWS image.jpg is now available in the Singapore region? Is it successfully replicated or not? Yes, it is. Cross-region replication. When a multinational clients wants their objects to be available in multiple regions, in such case, they do, instead of manually uploading it in all the regions, they perform cross-region replication. I hope I am very clear in showing you the example of cross-region replication. Clear? Clear about this? Okay. Let's have a couple of questions. Matthew. You are allowed to unmute.
I'm not getting you clear. Good day, Mr. Suna. I'm not getting you clear. It's echo. There's a lot of echo on the background.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Raju, can you hear me? You are allowed to unmute, Raju.
Yes, sir. Yes, Sunil, I can hear you.
Thank you. Is my voice clear?
For me, it's clear.
Okay. Yes, your question, please.
So, and basically, my general question is that what is the advantage of having DevOps along with the AWS?
What is the advantage of DevOps?
Yeah, DevOps.
If you are looking for a DevOps professional jobs, then you have to learn DevOps. Okay. Did you understand?
Okay.
If you
Yeah,
are going
right.
for a DevOps engineer's role, then you have to have DevOps skill set in your resume. If you're not interested in DevOps, only have AWS. It's up to you. Okay. You know what is DevOps? What it can do?
Not much idea.
So go through the demo, you'll understand what exactly the importance of DevOps. And then if you have DevOps skill sets, it's as well. Okay.
Okay. So is
Any
the
technical
DevOps is added advantage today AWS?
AWS is an advantage for DevOps.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Rajesh Ravindranath.
Hi, Sunil. Good morning. Can you hear me? Hello. I have a question with accounts, Sunil. Can we have multiple accounts associated with the same user? Because currently in my organization, I have 19 accounts associated with my account. So can it be
Rajesh?
possible? Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. Please repeat again.
Sorry.
I cannot hear you.
Now hear you?
I can
now?
hear you now, please.
Yeah. Sunil, actually, my question is related to the accounts. Actually, currently in my organization, I have 19 accounts associated with my email ID, means SSO.
Okay.
Is that possible here also?
Yes, it is possible also. That is used by using a service called as identity and access management. Okay. After S3, we are going with identity and access management. In this, we learn how to we create an account. Okay. And generally, we are logging in using a root user. Have you observed, Rajesh? Isn't it?
Yes, yes.
But practically, I hope you know we will be logging as an IAM user, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So once you start IAM, you'll understand those concepts. Okay.
Okay. Coming to S3, I have small doubt is
Yes.
when we upload a file in Singapore region, will it be updated in
No.
region also?
Vice versa will not happen. Okay. Only at the creation happens. Okay.
Okay.
Not only creation, when you update the object, it will not be automatically updated. No automatic updation. When you delete the object, it will not be deleted. Only for the creation, the replication happens. Rest of all the events, replication will not happen.
Okay.
So both are completely independent objects, and there is no synchronization between the objects. Okay, Ravindra. Okay, Rajesh.
Yes, Sunil. And and last one thing is like we use S3 for an application like in the backup services. There were very large backup, like a blob objects were saved actually. For example, in your WhatsApp, right? When we click on upload, it was extracting from the content store, which was we have, and store it in the S3. That I can tell like the usage of
right.
S3.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh. So look at this. Let's upload object in Mumbai. Yes, it is replicated in the Sydney bucket. Vice versa will not happen. Both will be independent objects. So when you delete an object in the Mumbai, it will not be deleted. When you update the object, it will not be updated in Singapore. Don't be under impression that both the objects are synchronized with each other. No, both are independent objects. Replication happens on the event of creation. That's all. Okay. This is about cross-region replication. Now, let's discuss about transfer acceleration. I want to now discuss about a transfer acceleration. So what do you mean by transfer acceleration? Let's try to understand. Please look at the PPT. I have a PPT which helps you in explain the concept of transfer acceleration. I have a slide. Okay. Try to understand the concept of transfer acceleration. Okay. Assuming bucket is in Europe. Okay. Bucket is in Europe. And the user who is accessing the S3 bucket is in New Zealand. The user who is accessing the S3 bucket, who wants to upload the objects into S3 bucket is New Zealand. Have you experienced there's a lot of geographical distance between New Zealand to Europe? In such cases, when the user is uploading a heavy objects, because of network speed, he will experience a lot of latency. If there is any network failure for a fraction of a second, the uploading will stop, and again, you need to again start from the beginning. Are you understanding? Sometimes when you're downloading a particular file from the internet, if the network fails for a few fraction of seconds, you need to again start from the beginning. Same experiences happens when if there is a fraction of if there is a network failure at fraction of second. Again, you need to upload your objects from the beginning. So this will be the challenges when the user and the bucket are scattered across different geographical regions in a very long region. So in such cases, forget about network, even though there is no network failure, but because there is a distance between the large distance between the bucket and the end user, there will be delay in uploading the objects. So how does AWS provides a solution for this kind of scenarios by using a concept called as transfer acceleration. When we enable transfer acceleration, the data will be transferred into edge location. Very, very important. Transfer acceleration takes the help of edge locations. Edge location is different, regions are different. Okay, so this feature takes the help of the edge location. Look at the diagram. First, the object will be uploaded into the edge location. This is edge locations. This is the actual region. The data will be uploaded into the nearest edge location. From the nearest edge location, it will finally gets uploaded into the bucket. It's a step and jump. First, whatever the data what the end user wants to upload the bucket, that gets automatically uploaded into the edge location. That's first part. From the edge location, the data will be uploaded into the bucket. Got it? Clear? So AWS uses the concept of edge location, CloudFront edge location. The data will be transferred to the edge location. From the edge location, the data will be transferred into the bucket. So edge locations are different and regions are different. I'll show you the infrastructure of AWS with respect to edge locations. How many regions AWS is having? How many regions AWS is having? 25 geographical regions. Okay, but how many edge locations? Number of edge locations. How many edge locations are there? (180) edge locations. Number of edge locations. 180 edge locations. We have edge locations in India also. There are currently 17 edge locations in India. Edge locations are different. How many regions? Currently only one region, but 17 edge locations. 4 edge locations in Hyderabad, another 4 edge locations in New Delhi, 3 in Bangalore, 3 in Mumbai, 2 in Chennai, 1 in Kolkata. They are something like a mini data centers, a tiny data center. So what happens? The data gets uploaded into the edge location. From the edge location, the data gets uploaded. So there are many edge locations are scattered all over the world to have these features enabled. Okay, clear about this? So I hope you have understood how to enable the transfer acceleration. We cannot see this practically, but you can enable the transfer acceleration. Go to the bucket, whichever you want, and you can go to transfer acceleration and enable the transfer acceleration feature. I want to enable transfer acceleration in the Mumbai buckets. Go to properties. Transfer acceleration is disabled. Use the transfer acceleration for faster data transfers. This is all about faster data transfers edges, and I want to enable the edge locations. Save changes. Once as the edge location is now enabled, as the transfer acceleration feature, As a transfer acceleration feature is now enabled, whoever is uploading the objects into the Mumbai bucket, they will use the nearest edge locations, and then the data gets uploaded into the bucket. You may have a difference whether you are using edge location or not. Finally, the distance remains the same, isn't it? You may have a question. Finally, whether edge location is used or not, but the distance is the same. So how does it improve the transfer acceleration? Yes, the point is, when you enable transfer acceleration, AWS automatically uses the concept of edge locations. What happens is, when a user in New Zealand tries to upload the object to the Europe, step one, what happens? First it gets uploaded into the nearest edge location. The nearest edge location for New Zealand is Australia. So first the data gets uploaded into the object gets uploaded into the edge location, and this uploading the data into the nearest edge location, that is used by end user internet speed. Okay, end user internet speed, and the edge locations and AWS data centers are connected with AWS internet speed. So AWS is having a high speed communication between edge locations to regions, so that AWS internet speed probably can be 20 times or 30 times faster than our internet speed which you are using it. Okay, so it uses a high speed internet, so that the edge locations are connected with high speed internet, so you will experience a lot of difference with respect to transfer acceleration when you enable the transfer acceleration feature. Okay, I hope I'm very clear. So when you enable transfer acceleration feature, automatically the edge locations are used. The data object gets uploaded into the edge location. From the edge location, it gets uploaded into the final destination bucket. Clear? Clear. This is about the concept of transfer acceleration. This is about the concept of transfer acceleration. Let's move on. So where are we standing? We have discussed about cross-region replication. We have discussed about transfer acceleration. Let's discuss about encryption. What do you mean by encryption? The most highest concerns the clients have, the highest concerns the client have when they move to AWS cloud is security. Clients worry about their security. So clients think that, is my data secure? Okay, no doubt AWS provides a high level security, and it applies security and wherever possible, especially with the bucket, especially when you're dealing with bucket. When client thinks that the data which is uploaded, the object which is uploading into the bucket is very, very important, very, very critical, it should not be hacked. No chance it should not be hacked. When you think that the data is very, very critical and crucial, when clients want some more security for his data, so what he can do, he can enable encryption. He can enable encryption. Okay, so when you enable encryption, the data gets, when you're uploading the object, the data gets encrypted. The data gets encrypted and saved into the bucket. Okay. Encryption. AWS provides two types of encryptions. AWS provides two types of encryptions. One is advanced encryption standard. The other one is key management service. The first one is single encryption. The other one is double encryption for more security. Clear? Clear about this? So how to enable encryption? So go to properties. By default, everything is disabled. We have discussed about transfer acceleration, and you can see encryption. By default, it's disabled. You have to enable the encryption. Click on edit. Enable. When you enable, as I mentioned, there are two types of encryptions: AWS S3 key and key management service. So whichever encryption you want, you can enable it. You have successfully enabled encryption. So whenever you upload the objects, it gets encrypted and saved for higher security. That's it. Nothing, no special feature. It's all about increasing the level of security. When client says that my object is very critical at any point of time, in case if the object is also hacked, it should not be readable, you can encrypt it. This is about encryption. Next. What is the next point? Encryption completed. Tags and metadata. Tags, what do you mean by tags? What do you mean by metadata? Let's try to understand. Metadata and tags. Okay. Let's have a quick questionnaire. Many participants are waiting for the questions to be answered. Sudhir. Good morning, Sudhir. You are allowed to unmute. Yeah.
Good morning, Sunil.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
One is regarding cross-region
Replication.
replication. Yes. Yeah, can we set up multiple locations at a time?
Yes, you can do that. You can
Okay.
create one more replication rule. What we have done, we have replicated to Singapore region.
Yes.
Mumbai to Singapore. In the same way, you can have Mumbai to multiple regions. Let's say your client is having infrastructure in 3 regions: Mumbai, Singapore, and Sydney. So when you upload in Mumbai, it gets uploaded in Singapore, it gets uploaded in Sydney region also. You need to create one more replication rule. Okay. Like we have created one rule. In the same way, you need to create one more rule.
Oh, okay. We have to create an extra rule.
One rule.
Yeah,
one
for
rule,
each
one more,
region.
for each
Yeah.
region. Yes, you're right.
Okay, got it. Thank you. And one more question is regarding encryption.
Yes.
So one is we are supplying AWS key, right? I mean a default key.
Yes.
And what if a customer wants to provide his own key?
No, that is not possible. That encryption is different. Okay.
Okay.
This encryption is automatic encryption. There is no concept of our key and also something like that. Okay.
I mean,
So
I could
when
see
it
that
is,
one option is there, KMS.
yes, you are right. Key management service. That's a different option. Okay.
Okay.
So when it is stored in the disk, it gets encrypted and stored. Okay. When it automatically decrypts when you're accessing the data. Okay.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Sarvanan Babu. You have raised your hand, Sarvanan.
Yeah. Hi, Sunil. Good morning.
Good morning, Sarvanan.
Yeah, I have a doubt in this
Yes.
task simplification. Okay, I in the source bucket, I have deleted a by. What I'm asking. Sorry, what I'm asking is I'm trying to restore a file after deleted. Okay, because the source bucket as versioning is enabled.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So
As you have
after
enabled,
restoring a-
you can restore the object which you have deleted.
yeah, that's okay. If the same thing has been happened in the designation bucket.
By
after
mistake, if you have deleted the object in the destination bucket.
No. What I'm asking is, I accidentally deleted a file in the source bucket. After that, I have restored using the versioning.
Okay.
Okay. If once I deleted a file, the same thing happened in this designation bucket.
Same thing means?
I deleted a file. The same file deleted in the designation. So after I restored, the same file restored in the designation as well.
1 minute. This is a source bucket. Okay.
Okay.
This is destination bucket. Okay.
Okay.
First, you have uploaded the object in the source bucket.
Yes.
The same object will be available in the destination bucket.
Yes, correct.
Next, what happened by mistake? You have deleted the object in the
source
bucket. Now, and then you have restored it.
Yes.
After deleting the object, what is the next event you said?
After that, I have restored the object in the source bucket.
There is no change in the destination bucket. Destination is as it is.
Okay. That's what I'm asking. Thank you.
Yeah.
And one more thing, in this encryption enabled, so that is, can we need to any key or decrypt something or otherwise AWS automatically decrypt
Automatic. It's an
automatic.
automatic decryption. Okay.
Decryption.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So let's discuss about metadata and tags. Metadata provides more information about the object. Metadata is a feature using which you can provide more information about the object. You are created a bucket. You have created a bucket. You are uploading an object into the bucket. You want to provide additional information to that object. You want to provide additional information. Whenever you want to provide additional information, that's called metadata. Okay. What language that object is related to? What is the type of the content? Where is it a JPG file or is it an audio file? So this kind of additional information. Okay, so you can provide metadata is all about additional information. Okay, so you can provide additional information using metadata. Okay, I'll show you how exactly we can provide additional information to an object with respect to metadata. So for that, what I need to do, I need to upload an object. Object is already uploaded. Where can we provide the metadata information? Under the properties. Metadata. The information about the object, you need to provide it. Additional information, you need to provide it in the form of key value pairs. The additional information of which you want to provide to that particular object, you need to provide it in the key value pair. Automatically identify, AWS has identified the object what you have uploaded is an image. Content is of type image. Similarly, you can add more information about that particular object. Okay. That object is of the user-defined metadata, system-defined metadata. System-defined metadata is nothing but the keys are predefined. Look at this. Keys are predefined. Content language that image is related to. Sorry. That image is related to English language. Yes, I have provided my additional information. System defined. So again, I wrote a system defined, and there is a different region, content language, okay, content type. So they're different. I'm sorry. So in system defined type, the keys are predefined, whereas in user defined, both the keys are also user defined. So I can write used by team. Let's say you can say it as this object is used by development team. I can go for again user defined. I can mention it as project, and I can say that it is used by client, and this is used by, let's say, PayPal is one client who runs on AWS. So these are additional information. So the object is of English, object is language is English, and this particular object is used by the development team for a specific client, uploaded by specific user. So that kind of additional information you can provide it in metadata, as simple as that. But the information we are providing is in the form of key value pairs. Okay, sorry, it should be in this predefined format. successfully edited. So you can get more information. You have successfully edited. So you can get more information by using the concept of metadata. Okay. Now similarly, keys. Keys also helps in providing more information. Key also helps in providing more information, something similar to metadata. Both are similar. This is metadata. We have uploaded metadata, providing more information. And keys also helps you to provide more information. So tags also helps you to provide more information. You can see here, click on edit. Here also we provide more information using the tags, add tag. Here also the information we should provide it in the form of key value pairs. Team, development team, same like metadata. Okay, you can say the client is PayPal. Suggested by some person name. As per his suggestions, we are uploading the objects. So like this, you can provide the changes. But the most important difference is the tags will help you successfully edited the tags. So you have added the tags. So both metadata and tags are used to provide more additional information. Main importance of tags is you can track the cost in case if you're getting a bill. Okay, in case if a client is getting a bill specific to a service called S3, the client has got a bill of something like let's say 10,000 rupees only for a specific service called S3. In that S3, you have a lot of objects. So this tags will be reflected in the particular bill. So you'll understand because of this tag, you got this much bill, but this because of this particular object. So tags will be used for used as a reference for billing. So that's the only important difference between the tags as well as metadata. Both are used for providing additional information, but the tags will be reflected into the bill. Whatever the tag which you're using, it will be reflected in the bill. So according to that, you can track the bill. This particular bill is because of this particular object. So that's about tags. Both are used for additional information. Okay, next. Next, very important. This is pretty simple. Don't worry about this. Let's move on to access control list, which is very, very important. Access control list is very, very important. So I want to explain the access control list by considering the fresh buckets. So I want to delete the buckets. First, I want to empty the bucket. Let's delete the Mumbai bucket. Let's make it empty first. Okay. Access control list is very important. Let's try to understand what they mean by access control list. Okay. Let's create a bucket. I want to remove the block. I acknowledge the settings and I create a bucket. Bucket create. I want to upload an object into the bucket. Upload. Whatever the object you want, you can upload it. And in the permissions, what are we doing generally? In the permissions, what are we doing generally? I am providing grant public access. I acknowledge the settings and I upload. That's what I'm doing, isn't it? I'm providing public access. What does that mean? Every object can be accessed using the object URL. You know that. Get the object URL. This is the object URL. Copy the object URL. And then if you have the object URL, anybody in the world can access the object using the object URL. So that's the public access. That is, anybody in the world can access the object. But my point is, I have uploaded an object. I have uploaded an object. I should be able to access, and only my friend should be able to access, not everybody. I should be able to access, and let's say I have one more friend and he should have access to that particular object. How do you control the access? How do you control the access? I don't want to give access to everybody. I don't want to give public access. I want to provide access to only one person or only two persons. So how do you control it? As the name suggests, access control. You can control the access as per the requirement. So how can we provide a restricted access instead of public access? The first point, every account will have a canonical ID. Every AWS account will have a canonical ID. Canonical ID is something similar to account ID. In my canonical ID is, look at this, AWS training is my account, right? This is the canonical ID. Every account will have a canonical ID. If anybody asking a canonical ID, it is something like an account ID. Okay. Now I want to share my particular, I want to share this particular objects which are present in the bucket to one of my friend who is having an AWS account. Let's say you are having an AWS account, you'll have your canonical ID. So you'll be providing me the canonical ID. Okay, I know the canonical ID of my friend AWS account. So what I'll do, I select the bucket at the bucket level. Access control list, I'm doing at my bucket level, selecting the bucket. Permissions tab. You have access control list, edit. Add grantee. I want to give access to my friend. Add grantee. I'll enter his ID. I will enter my friend's canonical ID, a unique ID to which I want to share it, and I provide them. He should be able to read, he should be able to write. What are the permissions I want? I can provide it, and then I click on save. Are you understanding? So not only me, as I have provided, I have added a grantee. Even he can also access that particular object. Only he can access the object. Are you understanding? That's called as sharing your object, sharing your bucket to other AWS accounts. You can do that. Okay, that's called access control list. Let's say you should able to access the bucket, as well as you have some group of 10 people. You want to add that group to the they also should able to access the objects. Add those canonical IDs, grantees, and provide them the permissions. Like this, you can provide a restricted access to the known AWS accounts, other AWS account, by using the canonical ID. Clear? That is about access control list. So access control list, and I have provided the access at what level? I have provided the access at what level? Bucket level. Let's say if there are 10 objects available in the bucket, all the 10 objects, other account can also see that. Clear? That is about access control list. Now, let's say if a bucket is having 10 objects, you don't want to give access to all the 10 objects, you want to give access to only one particular object. So access control list can be provided at the object level also. This I'm showing at bucket level. I can also provide the access control list to the object level. Go to object, go to permissions, access control list for this particular object, AWS image.jpg, not at the bucket level. I'm doing it at individual object level. Edit, add grantee. That's it. Provide the AWS account and provide the read access, so that not only you and other person can also access that. And then it's not to a bucket level, it is individual object level. So access control list, you can control the access at 2 levels. What are the 2 levels? You can apply the permissions at the entire bucket level. If the bucket is having 100 objects, all the 100 objects, the other account will have access to it. The other one is individual object level also, you can access the control list. So that's access control list can be a provided at 2 levels, bucket level as well as object level. I hope I'm very clear explaining the concept of access control list. Access control list, we can apply it at bucket level as well as object level. Select the object, provide the access, and enter the canonical ID. So once you enter the canonical ID and save, the other object, other account can also see your access, can access your object present in the bucket. This is about access control list. Next, bucket policy. You can provide permissions to other users using the bucket policy. How to apply bucket policy? Go to permissions. Can you see bucket policy? Right now, there is no policy. You can write a bucket policy. You can write a bucket policy. How do we write a bucket policy? By using a JSON script. You have to write a bucket policy using the JSON script. Okay, so bucket policy will be written in the JSON. Using the bucket policy, you should mention to which accounts you need to provide the access, what level of access you want to do it. You can do it using access control list. You can also do it using the bucket policies. The bucket policy should be written in the form of which code? The bucket policy should be written in the form of JSON code. And you don't need to worry about how to use a bucket policy. It's generally the AWS administration team who will write the JSON code for accessing towards the bucket policy. Okay. So bucket policy, we can apply it only at the bucket level only. Bucket policy, you have, as the name suggests, bucket policy is applied only at the bucket level. It is not applied to individual object level. Clear? So in how many ways, in the interview they ask you, in how many ways you can provide access to your bucket to other accounts? In 2 ways we can do that, by using the access control list, by using the bucket policy. Access control list, we add a canonical ID and we provide the permissions to the canonical ID so that the other account can access the objects. Okay, access control list can be advantage of our access control list. You can do it at 2 levels, at the bucket level, at the individual object level. Bucket policy is also used for sharing the access, but bucket policy is done only at the bucket level, and it should be created using the JSON code. It should be created using the JSON code. Clear about the bucket policy? Next, let's move on to lifecycle management. Let's move on to lifecycle management. What do you mean by lifecycle management? What do you mean by lifecycle management? I hope you remember, we can store the objects in different classes. We can store the objects in different classes. We have discussed, we have standard, we have one zone, 1A, intelligent tiling, glacier, deep archive. They're different storage classes. Okay, obviously the performance is dependent on the storage class. When you go, the default storage class is standard, that's a high-speed storage class. Obviously, when you store your objects in a high-speed storage class, obviously you get more bill. To avoid the bill, what you can do, you can save your objects in a low speed storage classes. There you can use different storage classes as per the requirement. As I mentioned in the example, let's say Netflix is launching a new movie. As it is a popular movie, let's say immediately when the movie is launched, you get a huge traffic to that particular movie. So to have a better performance, what we need to do, the clients will save it in a high speed storage class. After 3 months, there will be no much demand for that particular movie. Maybe first 3 months it will be huge demand. After 3 months, the demand decreases. When the demand decreases, we don't need to have a store that in a high speed storage class. We can move to low speed storage class automatically. You can define a rule that's called as a life cycle management rule. You can define a rule saying that after 30 days, my object should move, this particular object should move from high speed storage class to low speed storage class. After 100 days, it should go to much lower speed storage class. After 365 days, it goes to cheapest storage class. You can define the rules for your bucket. As per the lifecycle management rules you have defined, the objects will move from one class to other class automatically. You don't need to do it manually. I anyways have shown you how to move the objects from one storage class to other storage class manually by going to storage class, just changing and selecting the storage class and save. That's manual moving. But you can define the lifecycle rules so that the object will be moved to a lower speed storage class much automatically. That is called as lifecycle management rules. I'll show you how exactly we can define the lifecycle management rules. Okay, so select the bucket, go to management and then management tab, and there is an option called create lifecycle rule. Right now, there are no lifecycle rules. Create a lifecycle rule. Rule name, lifecycle rule name. Rule name can be anything. Rule 1. Scroll down. I want to apply the rule to all the objects. Scroll down. Lifecycle rule actions. Transition the objects to different storage class. Scroll down. Transit current versions of the object between the storage class. By default, the first storage class is standard, and it gets moved to standard 1A after 30 days. The objects will be moved to standard 1A class after 30 days. I add one more transition. My object will go to one zone after 90 days from the date of creation. And then my object should go to deep archive. It's for storing historical data after 180 days. It's a deep partial is okay. I acknowledge. Look at the timeline. Object uploaded after 30 days. Object gate will be moved into standard 1A. After 90 days, it will move to one zone, and after 180 days, the object will move to Glacier. Create a rule. Yes, lifecycle configuration has updated, and the name of the rule what you have provided is rule 1. Look at the transition. Standard 1 zone, transit to 1A, and then from 1 zone, and then from the Glacier. To avoid the bill when client to avoid the bill when better to avoid the bill, the client will define these kind of lifecycle management rules so that the objects will move to high speed storage class to lower speed storage class to avoid the bill. Clear about this? Are you understanding how exactly the S3 feature is helping us for helping the clients in storage or in performing storage? You have AWS S3 calculator so that you can predict the bill, because when AWS is providing these many number of features, you can predict the bill. Okay, you can check how much bill you get it. You can see S3. See, standard storage, intelligent tiering is one class. Infrequent access is one another class. One zone is one class. Glacier is one class. They're different classes, isn't it? You can guess the bill. For example, if I am storing 1000 GB, in which region? If I'm storing 1000 GB in standard storage class in a North Virginia region, the bill what you get is $22. The same $1000 instead of standard storage class, if I go to infrequent access data class, it is $12 because I have changed the class from a high speed storage class. If I select a low speed storage class, I will get the estimate of $12. Clear? So like this, you can know the bill. Let's say, I repeat again, let's say 1000 GB of data. If I store it in the standard storage class, the bill you get is $22. If I store it in North Virginia region, same data, if I create it in Mumbai data center, the bill changes. Based on the region also bill changes. Right now the bill is not changing. Okay. 47. In Mumbai, if it is $47. Are you understanding? The same data, if you're storing it in Mumbai, it is costing $47. The same data, if I store it in North Virginia region, the bill is changing. So bill changes with respect to storage class. The bill changes according to the region. The bill changes with respect to number of amount of data. So all these are very, very important. So your AWS provides a happy calculator so that you can calculate and give an estimate when client says that. Obviously, when client starts to use this particular service, they'll ask you how much bill I may get it. So you can use this S3 calculator to get the bill. Okay. Clear about this? With this, we have completed all the important features of S3. Clear about this? S3 is an object storage. Okay, so let's have a quick question. Lakshman. Good morning, Lakshman. You are allowed to unmute now. Satyanarayana.
Yeah, good morning, Sunil.
Good morning, Satya.
How are you, Sunil?
Doing well, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So I have one question, Sunil.
Yes.
Earlier in our previous classes, you created some Linux system and you made it as a web server by using HTTPD.
Yes.
And I'm confusing what is the purpose of creating that Linux server as a HTTPD and why we are using this bucket storage system? Can't we create the bucket storage system in those allocated volumes like 8 GB or additional volumes you're adding into, right? So whenever you're using a URL in the that particular HTTPD server, and can't we access this object in the same server, in the Linux server?
Okay, that is for a web server point of view.
Okay.
Satya, do you get all these features called cross-region replication? This is pure and object storage. The purpose is this is completely different, Satya. Okay.
Can't we merge when we access some
let's say if you use S3,
okay,
you get all these features. What are the features? Cross-region replication.
Yes.
Do you get that in EC2?
I don't think so, right?
No, it's not possible.
Okay.
Okay. So, this access control list, can you do it in EC2 when you make it as a web server?
I don't think so. Maybe.
No, it's not possible.
Okay.
Can you define lifecycle management rules in EC2 when you make it as a web server?
Yeah, no, we cannot. Right.
These are the special advantages with respect to file management. Okay, you are thinking from the hosting point of view. That is different, and this is different. This is a pure storage management. Okay,
Okay.
clear?
But we cannot access this file by using the what do you call it, web server, right?
No, that's different. This is different storage.
Okay. We are only keeping whatever the files we require, like critical files, in the
Yes,
S3 system.
yes, three. Yes, you are
Okay.
right. Purely storage,
Storage
file
purpose.
storage.
That's it.
Yes, few
Okay.
file storage.
Okay. File storage.
Yes, you are.
But coding part, coding in the sense like, when we create a index.html, somebody accessing, we are just now we are keeping only hello, something like that, my Google. But when you
You
create
can have a big
something
site, big application also.
Okay. It's coming under coding part, right?
That's obviously by the web developers.
Web developer, not
It
like
could be
architect
.NET
level.
or Java or whatever it is. Okay.
Okay, understand. What about like security purpose? Now you told me like encrypted something. Is it possible, like nowadays malware coming, somebody using phishing and all those things? Is it possible in the
How
AWS
exactly we can increase the level of security?
Yeah.
For that, we have a special service called Virtual Private Cloud (VPC). Okay, we'll discuss how exactly you can increase the level of security with respect to AWS infrastructure by using VPC. Okay, we have to wait. Okay, Satya.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Mahesh Reddy. Can you hear me, Mahesh? Kaiser. I think Mahesh, you are. We cannot hear you, Mahesh. Please check your mic settings. Kaiser.
Yeah. Good morning, sir.
Good
Hello.
morning, Kaiser. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yes.
I have thought to ask one. In this cross-region replication, how many region we can create? Like for and if there is no synchronization from object uploaded from parent to like child region, so then how can we manage our data?
The cross-region replication is specific to the event of creation. Okay. Generally, objects updations are very less with respect to files. Okay. Updations and deletions needs to do it manually, but actually, with respect to objects, generally with this particular cross-region replication happens only for the event of creation. Next question which you have asked for multiple regions, already this question is asked by one more participant. You need to create one more replication rule in case if you want to replicate to other region also. Okay, Kaiser?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. One more question before ending the session. Naveen Kumar. Naveen, you are allowed to unmute yourself. Can you hear me? We cannot hear you, Naveen. Aditya Thakur, how are you?
Hi Sunil, morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Good.
How is your learning experience?
Yeah, all going good. AWS is in sync with your section now.
Okay, thank you. Yes, your question.
Yeah, Sunil, I want to know, suppose in my organization, we have two different environment, QA and prod, okay? And
Development instance and production instance.
Yeah, so we have three S3 bucket, two S3 buckets, A and B. My source sending files to my S3 bucket A, but I want that same file to be copied into my B bucket as well. And both are staying in same region, Singapore region.
Okay.
So in this term, replication will help or snapshot.
No, that means your requirement is you want to replicate within the region.
Within the region, right?
Okay. So what in the cross-region replication, what's happening is replication is happening outside the region. So let's
outside
say from Mumbai to Singapore or Sydney. Now you want replication to happen within
in
the region. The first point, why do you want it to replicate? First point.
To keep it for different environment. because one S3 bucket, because consider backup for the same.
Considering as a backup, you want a backup storage. Okay, in case if one
Okay.
bucket is lost automatically, you can
Yeah.
use it as a backup, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it? But here AWS promises availability. There is no concept of your buckets not getting lost. It's going lost. That AWS promises. You don't need to worry about the buckets. It's 100% available, Aditya. Okay. So
Okay.
generally, you will never come across a need for replicating your bucket within the region, which is not required. Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
until, or if suppose I want the same file we send, and the source system should to be target both the destinations, right?
You can do that.
A and B.
Yeah.
Then only it is possible. Okay. Understood.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Sunil.
Okay, Aditya, thank you. So that's it. So today we have completed the concept of S3 features. This is all the concept of S3. It's all about storage management. In tomorrow's session, we are moving on to the next. Service called as identity and access management. That's our plan for tomorrow's session. Okay. Until then, have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunil.